The Conservative Party faced the worst defeat in their parliamentary history in the general election, losing more than 200 MPs.
Yeah, we're joined now by the former Post Office Minister, Hollinrake. He was re-elected as an MP, but with a smaller majority. So good morning to you, Mr. Hollinrake.
Good morning.
Relief for you, but so many of your colleagues lost their seats. What do you think went so badly wrong?
Yeah, I mean, it's very sad for those colleagues, some fantastic people who are no longer members of Parliament. So, you know, our thoughts are with them. I mean, I think the post-mortem on the election will be held over the next few months, and it's important we reflect very carefully on what we got wrong. I think most people on the doorsteps were very clear what we got wrong. You know, we did make some mistakes, but also most people recognised we did some good stuff too. No doubt, particularly through the COVID crisis and the cost of living crisis, all those things, we helped people to a very significant degree. But no, we paid the price. We've got to accept the fact we got things wrong. Particularly, I think, things on migration. We need to control migration more effectively, both legal and illegal migration. That came across very clearly. What we're going to do in the next few months is have a proper look at all this and decide how we present our offering back to the British public, how we unite behind a new leader. And it's very important we do unite. That's critically important. And then we can present a challenge to Keir Starmer's Labour government in 2029, which I think we can very successfully do. You know, one thing on the doorstep you saw, which is reflected in the opinion poll, the actual polls, was that there was no great appetite for Keir Starmer. It wasn't that he won this election, we lost it, and we've got to accept that and rebuild.
But he won over 400 seats, so he did a good job as far as the election is concerned. What do you do now in terms of looking forward? You're talking about regrouping. How quickly does that happen? How quickly do you choose a new leader?
Well, he did win over 400 seats, but he also got less than 34% of the vote share, which is the lowest ever for any government forming majority. So, as I say, there's very little appetite, I think, for Keir Starmer. We lost it rather than he won it. I think over the next few months we've got to reflect very carefully on that. I think it will probably be sometime before the end of the year before we put a new leader in place. I don't think there's any rush to do that. I think we need a proper discussion, a proper debate. And the new leader needs to set out how we're going to move that course to lower migration, to lower taxation, and tackle some of the political and cultural ideology we're seeing in our society. I think if we do all those things, we can present that very cogent challenge to the Labour government in 2029. I'm very optimistic and energised by that prospect.
You're talking about a new leader being chosen, by the end of the year. Clearly, there's already jockeying for position going on. Have you got anyone? You were a supporter of Rishi Sunak. Is there anyone looking at all those people that are likely to put themselves forward that you would say, yeah, they potentially have got what it takes to bring the Conservative Party and make it an electoral force once again?
Well, there's very good people that will throw their hat in the ring, I'm sure, but nobody has done yet, so it'd be wrong to preempt that. But I think the process is very clear. I don't think we should change the process about how we select our new leader. I think it's up to the parliamentary party to decide who the two best alternatives are, and then we present that to the membership, and that will be done over the next few months. As I say, I don't think we should start that process until probably September time, and then conclude it by the end of the year, and that person will then have every opportunity to make their case to the membership and to the electorate about why we think we're the right people to do what the public wants, which is very clearly, I think, which is lower taxation, lower migration, and to tackle some of these culture wars we have in our society. And I don't think anybody really thinks that the Labour Party are the right people to do that. I think that situation will not improve over the next 5 years, but I would say to people, don't leave the country. It's going to be fine. We're going to get back and we're going to deal with this stuff over the next few years, and we're going to hold the Labour Party to account for what they do. And I think that's the new leader's job, to lead a united Conservative Party through to give that challenge and to present a cogent alternative over the next 5 years, and particularly in 2029.
Let's talk about your former brief. BBC Breakfast viewers will know you very well because you took part in some fairly lengthy discussions on this programme about the Post Office, of course, your brief being as Post Office Minister. How much are you going to be able to work with the new Post Office Minister? When you were here on BBC Breakfast, we asked you about this. You were asked about what would happen if the Conservatives lost the election, and you said at that point that you would continue to work and you will keep on that brief and work with the new minister. Do you stand by that? Is that your plan?
Of course. I mean, there's no doubt, all the way through my tenure and indeed my predecessors' tenure as Post Office Minister, we've tried to make this non-adversarial within Parliament. We've tried to work collaboratively with other parties, which we did. And Johnny Reynolds, who's the Business Secretary, I work very closely with, and I offered him my support. I've contacted him already to say if they need any help, then we're very happy. I'm very happy to offer that. The most important thing we can do now is to provide redress to the people who have been so badly mistreated during this horrendous scandal, and to make sure people are held to account for what went wrong. And one of the last things we did in the old Parliament was to overturn around 700 convictions. That means compensation can flow to those people and to their families as quickly as possible. So much of the work has been done. The compensation schemes are working more effectively. I think Alan Bates, what he said to the press when he accepted his knighthood, said we're a lot further on than we were, which is welcome. I very much welcome his sentiments on that. So yes, I don't expect there will be any major hurdles now for compensation to flow to those individuals and their families, but also to make sure that the Metropolitan Police and the Crown Prosecution Service bring forward, I think, charges to those responsible for the scandal in the first place.
Just final question. How positive are you about the state of your party, looking ahead, looking at the strength of the reform challenge? In your seat, they came third. How confident are you for the next 5 years and where the Conservatives will be in 5 years' time?
Well, I think it's really important we recognise the scale of the defeat and what we got wrong. But given that, I'm very optimistic and energised by the opportunity. It's a blank canvas opportunity. We should recognise we got some things right as well as the things we got wrong, and seek to put those things right. But as I say, I think the critical things here we heard on the doorstep time and time again was we'd promised to tackle migration. We hadn't done that in a way people expected. We had put some measures in place. I think the difficulty around those things, of course, is the Liberal left who'd opposed all the things we tried to do, but nevertheless we got the legislation through in the end, the Rwanda legislation. That's now been scrapped by the Labour government. We need to revisit exactly how we're going to control both illegal migration and legal migration, and set out a course how we can reduce taxes, manage our public services more effectively, all those things we need to do. But we've got time to do that now, and leadership is the most important thing in that aspect, and I look forward very much to the conversations and debates over the next few months about how we can rebuild confidence among the British electorate for the Conservative Party, and I think we can.
Kevin Hollinrake, thank you.
Thank you very much.